It's good to have you with us.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Angie Poole, and I serve on your Fellowship Board of Directors. I want to thank all of you for being here today and extend a special welcome to any visitors with us today. Please stay on after the service for our virtual coffee hour, or you may introduce yourself if you're comfortable and join in our conversation. Your UUFA Board of Directors voted unanimously to extend the closure of the Fellowship Building indefinitely. The board will continue to have periodic check-ins and stay tuned to the recommendations of the UUA and community health experts. This shift allows us to develop further our engagement in virtual space, rather than remaining focused on reopening timeline and procedures while our community is still at risk. We are committed to providing a safe environment for all who call our fellowship home. While it's hard to be apart for so long, we are reminded each Sunday that the building may be closed, but the fellowship remains open. Please check with the UUFA website for complete schedule of various ways you can be connected throughout the week. So on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you to this sacred space. Here we invite you into an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. We begin our service this morning with the ringing of our chime 3 times. Once to wake the chime, once to open our minds, and once to open our hearts. And then we'll light our chalice.
In the world of the driven, let us be drawn in. Let your love be a given, let us be drawn in. To imagine, to dream, to create, to redeem, for the sake of the living, let us be drawn in.
The chalice lighting is by Leslie Takahashi. Here in this place of peace, may we find hope. Here in this place of connection, may we find life-giving community. Here in this place of rest, let the unrest of our hearts turn towards justice. Here in this space made sacred by memories of connection, let us each feel ourselves as part of the new that grows from the old in the spiraling unity of years.
In the world of the driven, let us be drawn in. Let your love be a given, let us be drawn in. To imagine, to dream, to create, to redeem, for the sake of the living, let us be drawn in.
For our prelude this morning, I share an adventure of going nowhere that Sarah Goeke and Travis Staton Marrero, who are dancers, their adventure in going nowhere was creating this dance at the table to the Keep Going song by Abigail and Sean Bengson.
This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. I am Abigail, and this is Sean, and we're so glad that you've turned this on and welcomed us into your home, and you are welcome into our home. We're in Dayton, Ohio. We're in Sean's parents' house.
My parents' house.
Sean's parents' house. We were in Louisville when the shit hit, and we packed our 3-year-old into a car. We drove kind of far. We drove here, and we've been so lucky and blessed to be safely here. And we thought we'd be here for like 10 days, tops.
What did we know?
What did we know?
What
did we know? We thought we knew a lot. We thought we knew a lot.
Keep going, keep going,
Woo!
keep going on.
Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. And we've been mostly healthy. We've been okay. Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? I hope your body is whole tonight. And if your heart is breaking, I hope it's breaking open. And if your breath is shaking, I hope it's shaking through. And then I hope that you've watched a lot of really great television, like a lot of it. And I hope that you find a hand lotion that actually makes your skin feel better. And I hope that you have enough to eat. I hope you're getting enough sleep, and I hope you have enough good company or enough good memory to last you a long time. Keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. We sing the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on.
They didn't know it would be beyond 10 days. We didn't think we would be in our homes for over 9 months. Keep going. Keep going. Our December offertory recipient this month is KHOI Community Radio 89.1 FM. This local radio station was started through the efforts of many people, including a lot from UUFA. The KHOI mission to build community through grassroots communication by offering the best in news, arts, entertainment, and music, featuring national figures and local voices for the enrichment of our community, and by welcoming all voices of our community, regardless of their perspectives, to freely discuss issues, foster local pride and respect. And it seems like you can turn on the radio almost any time of the day and you'll hear one of our friends right here from UUFA on the airwaves. To those of you who are involved with KHOI, thank you for providing such a quality local radio experience. And I hope that you'll all be generous as you, at the end of the service, when you go to our website giving page and make an offering to KHOI. Thank you for your generosity. This morning, our time for all ages is a story. It's called What Do You Do with an Idea? Written by Kobi Yamada with illustrations by Bengson. One day, I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here, I wondered. What do you do with an idea? At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me. But it followed me. I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away and didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when it was around. It wanted food. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid that they would think it was silly. And many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do, and it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food, I worked with it, I played with it, but most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof where it could look up at the stars, a place where it would be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big, and then to think bigger. It shared secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands. Because it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized what you do with an idea, you change the world. And that is our time for all ages this morning. Let's sing This Little Light of Mine.
Good morning. This is Sarah Carlson, and our opening words this morning are by Reverend Samuel A. Trumbore. Breath meditation. Let us turn inward now, Feel the rhythm of the breath. In and out, in and out. Find the peace of just being with the flow of the breath. Letting go of yesterday and tomorrow. Feel the restorative power of the peace of this moment. A peace large enough to open to concerns and sorrows that trouble us. A stillness quiet enough to respond to the joys and celebrations that enliven us. There is safety here in the rhythm of the breath. The ebb and flow of life is enacted in each one. Taking in oxygen sustenance, letting go of carbon dioxide waste. Taking in the fullness of experience, letting go of the residue that wants to cling to us. Cultivate inner peace and inner safety in this sanctuary, dedicated to cultivating the spirit of life, dedicated to being a beacon of love for all beings.
I invite you to continue in the spirit of breath meditation as we listen to meditation on breathing.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Each week, we take time in our service to share milestones in our lives, things that are happening that are significant in bringing us joy or challenge or gratitude. As I open the screen so that we can see everybody, I invite you to introduce yourself if you have a milestone to share. Share your milestone and then close it by saying, thank you for listening, so that we can give each other space with the overlap that happens with this technology. This is our time of sharing. I would ask that you hold, there's a church community in the East Village in New York City, the Middle Collegiate Church, which their minister, Jackie Lewis, and that congregation taught a seminar that that I and others from seminary attended, and she's also been involved in Unitarian Universalism. There was a fire in the building next door on Friday night, and it burnt their church as well. Their beautiful and sacred gathering space has been destroyed. And Jackie says that a fire can burn a building, but it doesn't stop love. Nonetheless, imagine what it would be like if we lost our sacred space. Are there other milestones to share this morning? For those milestones that we hold quietly, please know that whatever brought you here today, whatever you carry in joyfulness or in challenge, that in this community, no one ever needs to make the journey alone, and you are loved. Let's be together in a moment of silence. This is the second week of Advent. Traditionally, the Advent wreath is used to mark the Sundays until Christmas with gradually increasing light. Each week, a new flame is lit to represent light banishing darkness. This year, however, we're doing something different. Darkness is as important as light. The cold dark of winter is as important to life as the bright warmth of summer. So this year we're doing a reverse Advent wreath. We begin with all the candles lit, and each week we'll extinguish another flame until gradually we enter into the full darkness. Today, the second candle we extinguish represents joy. We honor the beauty of those things we can only find in the nighttime. The fireflies, the owls, the crickets, the stars. We give thanks for the beauty and joy to be found only in the dark. May we be blessed by the gift of darkness's joy. Dana Nobis Pacem is a beautiful piece year-round, but especially this year as we dream of peace. The music of Jess Hudeman, Chelsea Sardani, and Morayo Akande.
Our reading this morning is by Kitty O'Mara, a former teacher and chaplain who's from Wisconsin and wrote this poem in March of this year. She posted it on Facebook and it went viral. And the people stayed home. And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows. And the people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they have been healed themselves.
Our special music this morning is provided by Barb Evenson, Margaret's Waltz by Pat Shaw, arranged and performed by Barb. I think my cat Dharma probably is a good role model when I need to think of how I can have adventures in going nowhere. There have been times in my life when I confused isolation and stillness. I moved to a cabin in the woods for isolation and a quest to find myself and find my way without the confusion and distractions of urban life. After 6 years of undergraduate and graduate work at the University of Maine, the idea of having time alone, having downtime, felt idyllic and peaceful. Most of the people in my life at the university and my family and friends thought that this was a bad idea. Many thought that I was wasting my education, and I almost gave up my idea. Like the idea in The Time for All Ages, it didn't seem real at first. And having been in high academic mode and fully engaged in theater production, the reality of stopping, of being still, was much more difficult than I imagined. It did not take long to learn that I was not very skilled at stillness. And yet there it was, face to face with me, alone in my cabin. While sitting by candlelight one night, listening to the sounds of fall leaves blowing through the trees, I remembered a piece of advice that my theater mentor, Arnold Colbath, had shared with me. He said, "No matter where you are, stop and pay attention with all of your senses, deeply." His guidance was to help me bring a richer experience to the stage, but I suspect that in his wisdom, he knew that the advice enriched my whole life, especially in the adventures of stillness and going nowhere. I entered a 10-year period that balanced a busy life with stillness. With the changing seasons, I fell into a cycle of being with people during the skiing season, followed by 2 months of solitude. Then being with people during the rafting season, followed by 3 months of solitude. Each entry into the time of solitude started with the same discomfort of not knowing if I could do that. But quietness and stillness became my entrance to clarity, creativity, and coming up with ideas that would change my life, including the ministry. In his book, The Art of Stillness, Pico Iyer explores the unexpected pleasures of sitting still as a way of falling in love with the world and everything in it. He tells the story of visiting one of his heroes, songwriter Leonard Cohen, who had moved to a Zen center to embark on 5 years of seclusion. In one of their conversations, Cohen said, "Going nowhere isn't about turning your back on the world. It's about stepping away now and then so that you can see the world more clearly and love it more deeply." Iyer described an evening with Cohen, sitting still with his aged Japanese friend, sipping Courvoisier and listening to the crickets deep into the night, was the closest thing he had come to finding lasting happiness, the kind that doesn't change even when life throws up one of its regular challenges and disruptions. Cohen said, "Nothing touches it. Going nowhere is the grand adventure that makes sense of everywhere else." Like Cohen, I chose isolation and stillness in the woods. In the current context of a pandemic, most of us have chosen or felt forced to choose isolation in our homes for health and survival. After 9 months, the adventure of stillness is losing its shine. Many of us feel overwhelmed by isolation and stillness, and for others, working at home and caring for children who are schooling at home has eliminated the balanced cycle of full engagement and stillness. Before the pandemic, many of us tended to spend too much time on social media and felt overwhelmed by too much information. In this pandemic, I have found myself spending most of my waking hours in Zoom meetings, on social media, on television and the internet. And there's a sad irony here, that the internet is a saving grace and a saving connecting grace, while at the same time contributing to higher levels of stress and sleeplessness. Six years ago, researchers in the field of interruption science, I didn't know that that was even a field of science, interruption science, found that it takes 25 minutes to recover from the interruption of a phone call. So if you take that and look at how we are constantly interrupted by the ping of text messages, phone calls, emails, and Facebook posts, no wonder we never feel caught up in our lives. Iyer points out that stillness is beckoning us. He writes, "It's only by taking myself away from clutter and distraction that I can begin to hear something out of earshot and recall that listening is much more invigorating than giving voice to all the thoughts and prejudices that keep me company 24 hours a day. And it's only by going nowhere, by sitting still or letting my mind relax, that I find the thoughts that come to me unbidden are far fresher and more imaginative than the ones I consciously seek out. I encourage you to be mindful in choosing an adventure of stillness and going nowhere every day. Choose to move out of the clutter and distraction and have a moment of creative inspiration or expression. My colleague, the Reverend Rita Capizzi, serves the UU congregation in Mankato, Minnesota. She has taken a picture out of one of her windows every day for the last 250 days. Now, initially, when I saw this practice, I thought it was a little bit silly. But then I got caught up with it, and I found myself eager to look out her photographic window every day, to pay attention to the world in the way that Arnold advised me in order to fully engage life. And I'd like to just share a few of her pictures with you. "250 days of there are subtle changes and big changes." Of course, we're not going to look at all 250 pictures. Perhaps you might quietly look out your window every day and take wonder at the beauty and subtle and profound changes taking place. Perhaps you might sit alone or with another person and create a fun dance to one of your favorite songs sitting at the table, like Sarah and Travis did with the Keep Going song. Or perhaps you might read a poem out loud and imagine and express all of the senses that the author might have been experiencing when inspired to write. Balance your busyness with stillness. Disconnect from the internet for 30 minutes and allow your mind to recover. The poet Robert Haas has described beauty as a paradox of stillness and motion. But in this productivity age of perpetual motion, it's increasingly hard, yet increasingly imperative to honor stillness, to build pockets of it into our lives so that our faith in beauty doesn't become half-hearted, lopsided, or crippled. Pico Iyer closes his book with these thoughts. In an age of speed, I began to think nothing could be more invigorating than going slow. In an age of distraction, nothing can feel more luxurious than paying attention. And in an age of constant movement, nothing is more urgent than sitting still. You can go on vacation 3 months from now, and you'll have a tremendous time, I'm sure. But if you want to come back feeling new, alive, and full of fresh hope and love for the world, I think the place to visit may be nowhere. May we all find comfort in the art of stillness and finding adventures in going nowhere today and every day. Act on your idea and hold on to it. It might change you, and it might change the world. Our closing music today is provided by Yo-Yo Ma, who says culture, the way we express ourselves and understand each other, can bind us together as one world. Our closing words are by Richard Gilbert. At overwhelming times, we need to gather ourselves together, slacken our pace, blank out the screen, ignore the clock. Then we can remind ourselves that we are in charge of our lives, that it is we who dictate the pace, we who choose to stop the rapidly moving screen, that we can set the rhythm of our own lives. We are the only ones who can. We remember our friends in Tordatfalva and their caring for the earth and each other. Thank you for being with us this morning, and thank you for your generosity in your offerings to KHOI Community Radio, Black Lives Matter, or a partner church. You can make your gifts at uufames.org/give. And thank you to all who participated in the service. It's been so good to be with you all this morning. And now we'll go into breakout rooms for a few minutes and then regather in a large group after we have some social time together. Enjoy.